Hello everybody. Happy Friday night. Welcome to my Zen Den. I'm so happy that you're here to join me tonight. My name is Mandy VanHavermaet and I am an independent. Why is this tripping me up every time I say it anymore? I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up from Gray Eagle, Minnesota. I am going to share with you tonight a really fun stamp set. It is from the mini catalog, the January to April mini catalog 2025. It is called For the Books. It's a really cute stamp set and I am so excited to share it with you tonight. So let me flip the camera around and we are going to get stamping. Hold on one second. All right. Let's get cracking here. I'm going to be using my glass mat tonight just because I wanted grid lines. If you don't have a glass mat, that's perfectly okay. You can use any paper that has grid lines or anything like that. The grid lines are going to help with lining up the cards so that they're straight. So this is the bundle that we're going to use tonight. Let me show you it's in the mini catalog, the January to April 2025 mini catalog, page 52. For the Books. It is so stinking cute. It has got just it's a little smaller of a stamp set, so it's a little less expensive. The bundle itself is only $28.75, so it's a really inexpensive bundle. It's very fun. You can do quite a bit of stuff with it. It's got some really cool dies that create a book, and these pieces here, I'll show you. This one here makes a tassel. This is part of the book. So it's right there, the pages of the book. Of course, the book, and then like a bookmark, a little bookmark, and then this will punch holes for you. And then it is a photopolymer stamp set. So these are the stamps. I've got a bunch of them out right now, but let's get stamping. So here is my first, let's see here. Let's move me over a little bit. There we go. Get that. I'm going to end up with a thing. I'm sorry. I'm going to end up with a little spot right there. And we're just going to, that's why I don't use my glass mat on camera much. Okay. This is the card we're going to make. Isn't that just darling? It's so stinking cute, and it's really not that tough. I'm going to share a trick with you of getting coloring on colored cardstock. So I'm going to show you how to make those stars yellow. Very cool. So let's get cracking on that card. We're going to need a few little things. We're going to need a crumb cake base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored right down the middle at 4 1/4. I've got a piece of early espresso that is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. A piece of basic white for the inside, 4 by 5 1/4. You could use whatever you want to use for the inside. And then I've got a large scrap of basic white, and I've got a pretty decent sized scrap of the crumb cake. So let's get stamping. I'm going to bring in, first things I'm going to do is fold my card base in half and burnish it. Like that. And then I'm going to bring in my 2 ink pads. I've got my crumb cake and I've got black. And if this black looks weird to you, it's kind of because it is. What I did, my friend Joyce put me onto this, and I'm really happy that she did. I really like the texture of the Stampin' Up stamp pads. I like that they're the foam. I like how the coverage of them. So what she told me to do was get a white ink pad, because the white ink pads come uninked. And then get the Memento black ink, and I just simply inked up my white ink pad in black. I've still got a bottle of white ink here, but that way I keep a black ink pad that's similar to the rest of my ink pads. So that's my little trick that I'm sharing with you on that tonight. Okay, we are going to use this stamp right here. If you can tell which one it is. Let's see here, where'd my stamp set go? This one right here. And I'm going to stamp a background. So let's pull out our crumb cake. And I'm just going to stamp a background. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And if you notice, I don't have, the fun part about the glass mat is I can stamp over on that. Like stamp here. I can just wipe it off. It is handy. It is kind of a neat product. It's something I don't think that it's on the top of my list, but I do like it for, I like to be able to reuse things. So that is simply what I'm going to do there. We'll close up our crumb cake. There's lots of, if you do a lot of blending and stuff though, this is handy because it cleans up super easy. All right, so we've got 2 things here. I am going to, let's pull in we're going to emboss first. So I've got my emboss. We're going to cut first. So I'm going to do a basic cutting sandwich. So plate number 1, plate number 2, and then 2 plate number 3s. I've got, let's see here. I'm going to be using Nested Essentials. So I'm going to use the largest circle on the Nested Essentials, and I'm going to use the largest banner on the Nested Essentials. Really a good everyday die set. They are just so nice. And then another tip is to don't send your straight edge through of your dies through straight. Get them a little kitty wampus. It's going to make it go through your cut and emboss machine so it doesn't make that big clunk clunk sound. It's going to be easier on your dies. It's going to be easier on your plates. It's going to be easier on everything. So send that through the cut and emboss machine. So we've got our circle and we've got our banner. Put those back. All right. So first things first, I'm going to open my ink. First, I'm going to stamp on here. I've got a sentiment that says you're a solid, and then it's got 5 stars. So we're just going to center that in our banner. And because it is a photopolymer, you can cut first and then stamp. Usually I say to stamp and then cut. This way you could do it a little backwards. Okay, and here's where your grid paper is going to come in handy. What I'm going to do, and this is a coincidence, I took a piece of my Post-it note tape. It's an inch wide, which is what my banner is. Ironically, I did not intend that when I first did this, but I am using a piece of Post-it tape and I am lining it up. The reason I'm doing this is because I want my books to be level. So that's why I colored this side here, or this piece of tape. I did that so that I could see what I'm doing, because white on white, I can't see what I'm doing. So I've got my book stamp. I'm going to stamp that like I'm stamping it on a bookshelf. And then I've got the 2 books. I'm going to kind of lean those up against, just like that. Isn't that cute? I like that. And so now I can take this off. I don't need that anymore. So that is my stamping. Let's go ahead and color the books. I've got my blends I'm going to use. I've got the bronze and ivory blend. If you are looking for just a basic everyday kind of neutral tones, I would start with these. These are your 2. I use these more than I use any of the other skin tones. They're just simple. I don't know. That's what I like. So that's what I use a lot of. I've got a light old olive. I have got my Daffodil Delight. I've got the dark Daffodil Delight for my stars. And then I've got my light and dark boho blue. I think I stuck with my light pretty much exclusively when I was stamping or coloring earlier. So Stampin' blends are alcohol-based markers. So the cool thing about these markers is you aren't going to get that overlap, like when you color sometimes and you get like the lines. You won't get those lines with an alcohol marker. They blend, that's the name, really, really nicely. So I do like my blends. They are great for coloring. Okay, let's color that little band right there. And I'm sticking with just the couple colors, not going crazy on my colors here. Just kind of simply going to color them in. And I'm not doing a lot of shading. I'm not doing a lot of fancy work here. Just basic coloring. It's a pretty simple card. Great for a birthday card, great for just thinking of you cards. Anybody who's into books and libraries and things like that would love cards out of this stamp set. And see what I mean about those colors? They're just nice, pretty, mellow colors. Old Olive. Oh, I didn't even color an Old Olive book. Whoops. That's all right. All right, so now we're going to color, we're going to make these yellow. So let me grab that scrap of my crumb cake and I'll show you. If I were to color on here, they'd look yellow, but it's not quite as yellow as I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in my Stampin' Up! My colored pencil, my watercolored pencil. And there's two different packs of watercolor pencils. This is pack number 1, and then there's a pack number 2 that's got different colors in it. So the white is in pack number 1, and so I'm just going to go and color these stars really quickly with the white colored pencil, white watercolored pencil. And I don't know if you use other colored pencils like Crayola or something like that's from your kids' coloring, or if you have the adult coloring books. It's worth a try. Go ahead and try it. The worst that could happen is it doesn't work, right? And then you wouldn't be out anything. You just have different colored yellows. So now when I color that, it's so much brighter and so much bolder. And the more they dry, the more the color cures, the bolder they will become on this white. It's interesting. I love this trick. I don't think of it often enough, but it is a really neat trick to be able to color on colored cardstock. So let's build our card here now. You know, I know if I go back and look at this video, there was a piece of, there it is, early espresso. Oh my word. It's so hard sometimes to stay organized. All right. And I love the little peekaboo of the books behind. I think that just added, I had it plain before and I thought, oh, this just adds the perfect little touch to it. All right, so I'm going to grab some dimensionals and put maybe 5 of them on the back. And I'm going to do my very best to make those books straight. And so now I'm going to put a dimensional right down on this corner and right down on this corner. Take those off. And then put a little adhesive right on the top just to keep it all in place. And I'm going to use this as the bookshelf. And there it is. There's card number, oh, let's put our inside in. We need to put our inside in. There's card number 1. Just like that. There it is. Isn't that a fun card? I just think that's just neat. All right, so card number 2. Maybe, there we go. Looks like a significant list. It's not bad, but it is a fun fold. So I don't know, it's not like an over-the-top crazy fun fold, but it is a fun fold. Let's see here. This is the card. If you were at Stamp Camp in Bertram, you made this card in Bertram. I love that. So I'm going to show you how to make that book with those dies. So we're going to need a piece of 4 1/4 by 9 negative navy, and it's scored at 5 1/4. So what's going to happen is my score line is right there. So if you score it at 5 1/4 like you do a normal card, or 5 1/2, I'm so sorry, 5 1/2, it will be the right score line. And then I've got a piece of basic white for the inside, 4 by 5 1/4. a piece of designer series paper. This one happens to be from Take to the Skies, the airplane bundle from the big catalog. That is 4 by 3 1/4. I've got a piece of copper clay that is 3 by 3 1/4. A piece of Night of Navy that is 2 3/4 by 3 1/2, and a piece of basic white that is 2 1/2 by 3 1/4. Then I've also got one scrap of copper clay that we're going to get our book out of. So what we're going to need our dies. So we're going to need the book die, and that goes right there. And then we're going to need this die. That's going to make our tassel. And then we're going to need this die. That is going to make the bottom part of our book. So let's bring in our plate here. So a basic cutting sandwich here. We're going to cut our book out of there. And again, I'm not going to put it through exactly straight. I'm going to turn that just a little bit. And then these are the pieces that I'm using to make my card. But I'm going to be able to sneak out of there the white piece right out of the middle. And I'm going to take this tassel piece and I'm going to take that out of the middle of the blue. Keeps my scraps down. So let's crank those through, put on our second number 3 plate and crank those through our cut and emboss machine. All right. Woo. Okay. Where's my take your pick? There it is. All right. So I'm going to just poke my little hole there and that'll pop that out. So it looks just like that. That stamp set is tricky. Here it is. I have lost that about 4 times already. All right, and then we've got our piece of book, our paper for the book, just like that. So we need to keep those here. And then we've got the book itself. So if you find that, some of these dies like this are hard to get out, they can be. When there's not a lot of, there's more like cuts in the die, but there's not a lot of holes, they tend to get stuck. Use wax paper, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here. I've got a little piece because I was having some troubles. Maybe I have a little piece. I don't have a little piece. But what you do is you would take that, so you've got your piece that you're going to cut out of. You're going to set a piece of wax paper out of your kitchen right on top of it, and then set your die on top of that, and then run it through your machine just like normal. And then it literally will pop right out. It is so handy, and it is a great tip if you're ever struggling with your dies that are pretty solid. That is the best way that I've found to make them work. Okay, so first things first, we are going to make our little tassel out of this guy. Super cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use glue dots. I'm going to take 2 glue dots. Hold on, first things first. Let's grab a piece of baker's twine. Teeny tiny little piece of baker's twine. This is comes in a 4-pack. I'm using, I think it's crumb cake. You could use whatever you wanted to. If you wanted to use linen thread, that would work as well. Any kind of string. All right, so on the back side of this, I'm going to put 1 dot on each of the top corners. Okay, so if you look, you can see where I've got my little dots right there and right there. Okay, so now I'm going to put my piece of baker's twine right inside of there, like that. And then I'm just gonna fold it over and then continue to twist it up. And this does make a little bit of a bump, so I'm going to tell you that now. I don't feel like it's a whole lot more than some of our embellishments. but it does make a bump, so it might make you have a non-machinable surcharge at the post office if you were to mail it. But there you have it. So when you finished rolling it, it just rolled right onto that dot, that other dot that I put there, and it just like that. So super simple. Let's pull out some stamps. I'm going to grab this little heart stamp, and I'm going to grab the sentiment that says, "This one's for the books." What a great birthday sentiment, right? Or congratulations sentiment. I like that. All right, and I'm going to grab my Knight of Navy. Don't lose that guy. So we're going to stamp on our book. I'm just going to put a little heart right on top of the book. If you've got other little stamps that would fit on there for specific people, totally go ahead and use them. And then I'm going to take "This one's for the books," and I am going to stamp that right towards the bottom of my basic white sentiment, like that. All right. So let's build our book. Let that dry for just a second. I like to use liquid glue for this because it is pretty tiny, teeny tiny. Let's put some liquid glue, some Tombow right down on there. And then our white piece sits right inside of here. Gives it kind of that 3D effect. You know what? I'm thinking, I wonder if I have any little crosses. This would make a cute Bible. All right. And so then I'm going to put just a touch of adhesive on the back. One more glue dot, and I'm going to put the glue dot on the back of my tassel. Like that. I'm going to set that where I want it to be. So kind of like that. And then I'll wrap that string around the back and stick it right there. So now it's stuck. So there is our little book. Isn't that the cutest, most darling little thing ever? I so love it. And now we're going to adhere that onto here, and nobody is going to know that we have a hole there. All right, let's build our card. So let's fold and burnish our card base. And when I do a card like this, I like to put the inside in first, simply because then I can line everything else up to make sure that it's straight with those lines, in case I get them off just a little bit or something. It just makes my brain work better. All right. So we're going to adhere this right on top of that. Just like so. The color combination for this card came right out of this take for the sky paper. I love the color combination in that paper pack. It is so good. It is so good. It's such a good masculine set of papers. Masculine color combinations. I fell in love with that set. Okay, I'm going to attach this right onto there. And I'm not adhering the book. That'll be the very last thing I do. Okay, now you want to make sure when you adhere this, you don't get glue down here, right? Here's my trick for that. I'm going to put some adhesive right here. And then I'm also going to put adhesive on the top of here. So that way, I know exactly where I'm at then. I've got no guesswork. So we're going to center it up and down and side to side. There we go. So now it opens. There's no adhesive there, and there's no adhesive here. Perfect. All right, and we'll just adhere that down. And I think I am going to use glue on this just because I don't know how to control my tape runner. Isn't that That's a pickle, huh? We can trim that string up. We don't need that whole thing there. My paper snips say, that's not paper. And now I got glue everywhere. Oh, the struggle is so real. Beautiful. I love that. And I've made this card in other ways too with like berry burst cardstock. So pretty. So, so pretty. I love it. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, these are my 2 projects for tonight. I hope you really enjoyed them. I think this set is really a good set. I was surprised when I got it that the books were as small as they were, but then after I started playing with it, I was happy that the books were the size that they were because it just makes sense, and it is good and it's different and I love it. So I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I will see you back here next Friday night when we stamp a little bit more. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.